So we're back. So let's bring our attention to this main JavaScript file or JSX file. Okay, don't worry about what JSX means. Let's bring our attention to here so that we can start rebuilding this page based on what we're actually going to need. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to get rid of the strict mode. Actually, I'm going to get rid of React altogether, but in a second. I'm going to keep that here. So because we have React router done, so I am going to bring my router in here so that we can route through the site at the highest level. Okay, so I'm going to import browser router right there, browser router from React. If you notice why I have this stuff already pre-written and then all I have to do is hit tab and it automatically gives me the code that I need, is because I have something called GitHub Copilot, and it's basically AI generated, kind of like ChatGPT involved with, I don't really know exactly how this is all put together, but it actually pre-codes things for you, which is pretty easy. It does come up with a bunch of crap that doesn't make sense, but a lot of the stuff is actually pretty good. I was like, wow, I didn't think about that, thank you. So anyway, I'm just gonna hit tab. So if you have Copilot, it'll make you coding, make your coding a lot faster. It costs like $4 a month, $9 a month, I don't know. It costs a monthly thing, but I think it's worth it. It makes my job easier. All right, so I'm gonna have the browser router. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have the browser router added in there, and I'm gonna copy that, and I'm gonna replace this React tag with it. Okay. Now, at this point, I don't need React anymore, so I can just get rid of that. React is already being injected in anyway. So I have the browser router coming in. I have the React DOM coming in. I have the app pointing to the app.js. I have my index file in here for some minor CSS stuff that I don't think I guess you could use. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import a header right here so that way I can put my navigation points, my route points in there. So before we do that, I'm just going to go ahead and save this for a second, and I'm going to bring your attention to the index CSS file, because there is like 13 lines of code that you're going to need there. That's it. So let's open CSS there, and let's just Control A, delete everything, and I'm gonna paste this. Just put the body with this margin, the width, this class right here that you're gonna see later, and every div inside of it, and then the hyperlink, basically taking the decoration, the underline, taking that underline off. That's a mistake. All right, and yep, that's it. That's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and save that, and then you can close that and put it away. You're not gonna need that anymore. All right, still over here. So now the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna come over here to the source right here, and then create a new folder. And we're gonna create a components folder, a components folder, and then inside that component we're gonna create a header. So now we're gonna hit this one right here, and we're gonna call it header, just like that, and it's gonna be a JSX file. And because I am running, excuse me, because I am running some plugin, I forget the name of it, that it kind of pre-codes things, not the Copilot one, a different one. I can put RFC, what is this? It's this one right here, the ES7 React Redux React Native Snippets. If you download this through this plugins somewhere, this one, to this extensions. If you download this extension right here, you'll be able to type RFCE and hit enter, and it automatically pre-writes a component for you. Okay, now this component is written as a function. I sometimes like to use functions, sometimes I like to use different kind of functions with a call it fat arrow functions. Basically, I can use arrow functions if I want to. So, but for this header, well, actually, you know what, let's do it. Let's just do an arrow function. So we're gonna create a const variable called header, and I'm just gonna put an equal here, and an arrow or fat arrow right there. Fat arrow, that's shaming. that is body shaming for coding. Alright, so now that we're here, I'm gonna put that there, and then I am going to bring something here. I'm not gonna type all of this, so I'm just gonna copy it and put it in here and then explain what it is, okay? And then you can go ahead and type that, pause, and go ahead and take your time, okay? So obviously there's a bunch of red lines because I have to import all of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import and then put a multi-bracket and not a multi-bracket, I know a curly bracket, so that I can import several instructions, several components from one single source, okay? So the first one is going to be app bar, and that's going to be from, there you go, it's already pre-written material right there, okay? Now I'm going to go back in there and I'm going to bring typography, there you go, hit tab, and then toolbar, hit tab, button, and I think that's it. The link is coming from somewhere else. Alright, and then I'm going to import link, which is already writing it for me. Thank you, Copilot. And so there it is. Yep, import the link. I don't need React because I am not calling anything. You only need React if you're using actual React use states or any hooks, things like that, then you'll need it. Alright, so now that I'm here, this basically is done. So what am I doing here? So it's basically the app bar, toolbar, these two lines of code right here. They just put a nice little bar, like a header bar on top of the site. That's what it does. Position fix basically puts it, stuck at the top so it doesn't scroll. I just color default. It just makes it white. And then toolbar is just a child of the app bar because there are several kinds of app bars. And Material UI, these are all Material UI stuff. And then typography is the kind of wording that you're using, as in like p tag or heading, things like that. So typography, in this case I'm using a H6, heading 6 as a component. It could be as a component, it could be as an H6, active delete. So don't worry about all this stuff, just type it up and just put it up there. This is not a tutorial on Material UI, I'm just explaining what I'm doing, okay? And then I'm going to have these buttons right here, which are going to be rendering as a component, as a link component, which is a hyperlink. And these are the paths that it's going to go to. So this one is going to be my home component that is going to go to my initial path. And then I'm going to have these pages called object of arrays, array of objects, object of objects, and array of arrays. And they're all going to go to these endpoints, OOA, AOO, OOO. AOA. So they're kind of confusing too. I mean, they're not really that confusing. It's basically the initials. All right. So that's it. That I'm going to go ahead and save that. Hope you had the chance to type it up. Just basically pause it and type it. That's the good thing about videos. You can always pause, go back, rewind. Right. If you were in a classroom with me, I will have to just sit there and wait for you to type all this up. Alright, here you go. So now we have the header, now we can actually use it. So we're going to go back to the main right here, and then we're going to bring it in right on top of the app. And I'm going to put header, and it's already kind of, because I have a component that imports the stuff for me. So there you go, put it up there. What am I doing? Oh, I didn't close it. There you go. Alright, and it's already imported here and it knows already where it is. You don't need to have this JSX. Honestly, you could just have it omitted if you wanted to. Just like that, it'll work just fine. Alright, so now I can hit as save, and then if you notice, I have my stuff there. Okay, so that's good stuff. Everything is already showing up as it is. But if I click on them, nothing happens. Okay, and the reason why is because there are, it is changing the path, but there is no actual routes, nothing on those pages to take when you go there. So we're gonna fix that. All right, so now that we have that done, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the app.js to start creating the routes in there. So inside the app.js, we're going to delete all of this stuff right here. We'll delete this, and we're gonna delete all of this, and then end this right here because we don't need a counter anymore. The Vite logo, all of that stuff we're gonna need. I don't think we need the use state either because we're not updating anything in that aspect. Shoot, we don't even need this. We're not even using that. All right, so we are going to import some stuff. First thing we're going to import is going to be the routes and route and route, and that's going to come from React Router DOM. Okay, we're going to need that. Then we're going to need to bring in the import page, the object of array pages that we haven't created, object of objects, array of objects, all these pages that we haven't, and including the home one, but we'll do that in a second. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to first, I would like to switch this to a arrow function. I just very rarely I use a regular function. There we go. And now in here, I'm gonna turn this into an actual div, and I'm gonna give it a class name, and that class name is gonna be app. And if you remember when we did CSS, that's basically what it's gonna do. It's just give it a margin top. That's all it is. So that's why I'm doing that there. But then now I'm going to bring in my routes. What am I doing? Sorry. There you go. Oh, routies or routes. I'm gonna bring in my routes, and then inside my routes, you notice that it's already suggesting that I already put in one route. Why not? I'm gonna just do that exactly. And the only thing that I'm gonna add to this is going to be an exact. Okay. So I have my first route, but I'm gonna go ahead and create the other routes that I need as well. So I'm just gonna go ahead and copy and paste them from my other notes here, and these are the components that I'm going to need to create, and each of these components, including this one, is going to hold a different page. This one's going to hold a home page, and this one is going to hold pages for all of these different things that we're going to be doing, so that way we can go there. All right, if you notice the path will basically, the route basically is going to use this path to route to this component, and when it gets there, it's going to load that component, and inside of that component it's going to be the stuff that we're doing. Okay, so that's basically how routes work. So if I hit S, it'll be fine. However, nothing is here. Okay, and if you notice, if you inspect it, there's going to be some broken stuff, and there it is. And the reason why is because you got a bunch of stuff here that's not defined. It's basically stuff that you added, but you're not defining it anywhere. So now we're going to import these pages. But you know what? Before we do that, let's create them. So let's go into the source folder again and create a folder called routes. You can call it pages if you want to. You can call it whatever you want. I like routes. And then inside route, we're going to create our first one. And this one is going to be array of objects. Let's start with that one. Array of objects. Array of objects, JSX. All right, and then now here I'm going to put RFCE so that they can create it for me, and there is an array of objects, and then I am going to turn that into an arrow function. There we go. Cool. I'm gonna need that eventually, but not now. So just keep it like that. And I'm just gonna copy that because I'm gonna end up doing, actually, you know what, I'm just gonna save this first, but then I'm gonna come over here to the array of object. I'm gonna hit copy and paste, and then I'm gonna rename that array of arrays. Hit enter, and then Control D will take me through all of them. Array of arrays. Right there. Save it, And again, I'm gonna copy that and paste it and rename it. And then this one is going to be object of arrays. Take the copy part out, copy that section, object of arrays, and then Control D to 3 of these, change them all, object of arrays, and copy that one and paste it. That's Control V, Control V. All right, Control C, Control V. There you go. And then I'm gonna rename that. Take the copy out. Object of objects, and copy all of that. Hit enter. Object of objects, and Control D, or Command D, and hit save. I have all of those, and then the last one that I'm going to need, I'm gonna create that one individually. It's gonna be home JSX, and then RFCE, whatever. Yeah, home. I could just leave it like this. I'm gonna leave it just like that. There's nothing gonna go on in here, so I can just delete this right here, and hit enter and save it. So now that I have all the pages created, then I can come over here and I can start injecting them. Import home, and it's not in pages. You see how Copilot makes stuff up. All right, so it is in routes and it is in home. There you go. Now, I was just gonna say, if Copilot is doing its job, it should have learned from the correction that I made above on routes, took pages and put routes, and it should give me the right suggestion now. And it did. It gave me the right suggestion. Now it's object of arrays coming from routes, object of arrays. So that's a great thing. And then look, it's already giving me object of objects, and then array of objects, and array of arrays. This is like cheating. It's really awesome. All right. So yeah, I strongly suggest that you use Copilot, but not if you're learning. So let me just throw that in there. Not if you're learning. If you're learning, I would suggest you don't rely a lot on suggestions and pre-coded stuff, so that you can do everything. Get used to putting your work, your memory into it. Okay. All right. So now everything should be copacetic. You see how home is working, and if I click to these objects right here, or these not objects, buttons, it actually does take me to those places. So it's working, it's updating. All right, so now let me just make sure that everything is working, because I think that is basically all we're going to need. All right, so now that we have our house built, we're gonna start building the component, the main component, which is going to be the view component. Okay, but we'll do that on the next one. How about that? All right, see you later.